Kalonzo Musyoka that will join us in this conversation. We really appreciate your presence and let us keep it alive. Share the link as we start our program in the next few minutes. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate your conversation. As usual, thank you so much for supporting this platform. And it is in order to follow each other, as we usually say that, for us to get connect as we see what is happening in our country. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Feel at home, feel welcome. Share the link as much as you can. Let people join. And also, you have a time that you can chime in. You can write questions if you have a question, specific question that you can ask Mweshimiwa. And also, even what is your thought as we discuss things that's pertaining our country? Ronya, see you. Tomboy, I see you. And anybody else, thank you so much for joining. And as we focus so much on the state of the nation, things has been happening, and even KCSE is out, and some parents are still crying. These are the things that we want to focus ourselves on today. And I know Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka has a diverse and also a knowledge concerning the Kenyans, the state of the nation, being one of the leaders. I know he's gonna give us a lot of things that is happening today. And the mic is open for everybody. Share the link. Is joining in the next 1 5 minutes. Share the link so that many people can join, so that we don't repeat ourselves. See you, Bonnie. I see you, Abdi. Welcome, Momosh. I see you, Akin Yoremo, and so many people. I see you. Thank you so much for joining and welcome in the conversation. And we usually say this: we have only two languages to use, English or Swahili, all the time. No any other language. And we talk about issues. We don't just talk. We just put our things um, on issues. No personal attack in this platform, and you know that. So we are okay. Yes, Ronyo, how are you doing?
Fine, fine, Hilary. Thank you so much.
Happy
I'm
to see
here
you,
to
bro.
listen and contribute. Sorry?
Asante sana, nimefurahi sana kuona bwana.
Nashukuru, brother.
All right, karibu sana. Share
Appreciate
the
it.
link as much as you can, as then we're gonna have the open remarks for so many people, and bear with us. Sometimes we might be so many that we cannot give everybody a mic. Bear with us. I see you, Abdi. How are you today, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Hillary, can you hear me?
I can hear very well.
Good. I see everyone there. I'm doing good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I see Honorable Neto here. Bonnie, how are you doing today, bro?
Doing very well, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, man. Happy to see you and welcome on board.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dolphin, how are you doing?
Fine, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, good. Happy to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy to see you too. And sorry, I'm actually on transit, but I'll talk later.
All right,
I'm
no
with
worries.
you.
Thank you so much. Share the link as we start our conversation in the next few minutes. Yes, who is here again? I see Rose. Thank you so much for joining. I see you, Redemptor. Honorable Network, thank you so much for joining. All right, these people, their mics has issues. Okay, check your mic, check your connection as usual. Let's see what Mboya is saying. Tom Mboya, how are you doing today?
I think only you and me and Ronyo have the mic. I don't really see the rest. They don't have the mic, I think.
Tom has a mic. Samson has a mic. Bonnie has a mic. Keegan has a mic. Africa, African Pope, how are you doing today?
I'm very fine, Hillary. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Very well, bro.
Thank you. We appreciate, by the way. We'll be here on board. It is my sincere hope and trusting and belief that you started with the national anthem because non hapo umeandika state of the nation.
Yeah, this is state of the nation, bro.
Eh, Peleke, we shall be here. We appreciate. Thank you.
Karibu sana. Ubarikiwe sana.
Asante.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes. You want to say something?
no, I'm okay. We're done.
Okay. Samson, I see your hands. Samson, how are you doing today?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me? Najua akifika hakutakuwa na space ya kuongea but nataka kuachia maswali kadhaa yenye utamuuliza. Okay.
Hiyo ni sawa, Samson.
Hello.
Unaweza
Can
ziandika
you?
chini, unaweza ziandika chini unitumie, then we tunazouliza kwa niaba yako.
Yes. Okay, hata ni swali moja tu. Kalonzo ako
Uliza
na
baba.
mpango gani kwetu sisi wa Kamba? Amenyamaza. Tumeona pale mlolongo 5, mlolongo 4 wameabductiwa. Bado Kalonzo hajaongea. Why? Why? Na swali lingine wacha
Yes.
niulize huyu anaitwa somebody kigeni hapa, huyu ako na great tick hapa. I saw the last day umetweet ati we stop abduction and start slaughtering. Slaughtering. I don't know what kind of tweeting is that one. Hiyo sijui. Okay, main question, uliza Kalonzo ako na mpango gani? Juu sijui ni lini niliona ati somebody Daniel Manzo anasema he will join Rigathi Gachagua, who will be the flag bearer. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. Thank you
Okay,
so
hiyo
much.
swali
Appreciate.
niulize.
Okay, sawa
Yes, thank you,
sawa.
thank you. Thank you.
Ubarikiwe sana kwa swali yako. Nitauliza hiyo swali. Ubarikiwe sana. Asante sana Samson kwa Kigan, I want to give Abdi to do open remarks as we start our space officially. Then, how are you doing?
I am doing well, thank you, and I can't wait for all of us to have a discussion with His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, a man with that maybe it is time to be merry, maybe it is time to stop the conducts that were happening of missing persons, and for us to, even have them home and to slaughter as is our tradition during festive seasons and more so Christmas, where we sit down and we have a jolly time and not think about the abductions and what have you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kigan. I think that one is okay. And yeah, thank you for answering that. I want to acknowledge few people here. I see Millicent Odhiambo. I know she's with women, Wiper women representative from Mombasa. Thank you so much, Millicent Odhiambo. Churchill, I see you are a thumbs up down. We will give you a mic and say something. But African Pope, you have a question or what do you have? Because we want to do open remarks. Then we start our conversation as the vice president is joining us, His Excellency uh,
Thank,
Honorable Musyoka.
thank you, Hilary. Thank you, Hilary. Before I don't want to kuharibia watu moods hapa but Kigen will answer a few questions. But before then, you can open the remarks and then kindly, Abdi, I know you are becoming the co-host in a few minutes. I will request for the mic and I'll ask a few questions.
All
Thank
right,
you, Hilary.
all right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abdi. I want to welcome you to give open remarks. Mheshimiwa is joining us. The team is already here. He's joining us in a few minutes. In 1 minute, so you can give your open remarks, and then we start our conversation officially.
Okay, thank you, Hillary. I just want to welcome everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and I want to thank you all for making your time to be part of this important conversation. I think we stand at a pivotal moment for our country. Kenya is at crossroad. This is what we all think about. I think as we gather tonight at this defining moment in our nation history, we are facing most serious challenges to our democracy, unity, constitutional order since independence. I think the weight of the economic strain, political betrayal, systemic injustice bear heavily on every corner of our country, I think. Let's call what it is. Our people are suffocating from a very punitive taxes, skyrocketing cost of living. Ordinary Kenyans are trapped in a vicious cycle of poverty and frustration. Corruption has infiltrated every level of governance, robbing healthcare, education, infrastructure, name them, and resources meant to uplift our people. Billions are lost while millions are left to fend for themselves. I think at this time, our constitution, the very foundation of our justice and governance, is being manipulated to protect the powerful and silence dissent. I think abduction, disappearance, and disappearances have become normalized tool of repression. I think this is not governance. This is criminality. And when Kenyans raise their voices, they are labeled as enemies of state or demonized for simply demanding accountability. I think President Ruto may claim ignorance about the abductions. He said he doesn't know about them. The leadership by deflection cannot stand. Police deny involvement. Others make absurd claims that the things are hiding themselves. This tragic theater of fear and truth of the people when leaders refuse to take responsibility, we are forced to ask ourselves who is really in charge. I think we saw today CS Murkomen using the word threat as a threshold to target social media users in a desperate attempt to stifle dissent and curtail the freedom of expression, as it is said. You wouldn't, as he said. I think Kenyans won't be silenced by those vitisho baridi. We should address the governance failures fueling the public outrage instead of cracking down on criticism. I think freedom is a constitutional privilege, a right, and not an individual right, I think. So the opposition that once held power to account has been also mutated. Today, the real opposition lives in the street, the Wanjiku. The ordinary Kenyans carry the burden of austerity, failed leadership. Parliament will stand for Kenyans than the people will. So this isn't about political affiliation. It's about the future of our children, the dignity of our families, the survival of democracy. We must demand leadership that listens, acts, and serves with integrity. We reject impunity. We reject corruption. We reject suppression. True democracy begins when people stop fearing the government and the government starts fearing the people. Power belongs to the street, not to the elite. No regime, no matter how ruthless, can outlast the will of a united nation. So tonight we are honored to have our guest, as you said, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper Party leader, and he will give his voice onto this. I think his leadership also has played a critical role in shaping the Kenyan landscape of democracy in his own perspective. So I think his insight is invaluable as we seek solutions to the crisis facing this nation. So I would say let's move on from there. It's a call to action. This conversation is a call to action to listen, engage, and organize for Kenya that we all deserve. Karibuni. Let's drive right into the issue. Over to you, Hillary.
Thank you so much, Abdi, for that wonderful statement of opening remarks. And actually, we have already joined by Honorable himself, that is Kalonzo Musyoka. In a few minutes, he will have a mic, and we will welcome him officially to the platform. And I said that our conversation is based on mutual of respect and focus on the issues that is happening in our country, and that's why we are talking about the state of the nation. And I know with the knowledge that Honorable Musyoka has, and that's why we want him to address us. And also, the question should pertain the issues, not personal attack. And we are sorry about that. If you're there to do the personal attack, we are not here for that. I want to welcome Honorable Neto to give his open remarks as I wait Mheshimiwa to pick up a mic. I've sent a mic to you, Mheshimiwa. Let us, Neto, give an open remark, then we start our conversation. Honorable Neto, go ahead.
Eric, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mheshimiwa. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm still on the road. I'm trying to get myself to the village. So once or twice I'll be on and off. But thank you very much, Hilary, for hosting this particular space. And I'm happy to speak on this space with my former leader,
the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, he knows that once or twice I pushed him to become president of Kenya in a very serious conversation, and I will be listening to what plans he has for the 2027 election. In 2017, I was hoping that he was going to be Kenya's presidential flag bearer, but I'm hoping that didn't happen. But let's hear what he has for 2027. But what's the state of the nation? I really think that Kenya right now is suffering from a broken down system of rule of law. There's no longer rule of law in Kenya. There's no longer constitutionalism in place. Kenya is a country trinkering on the brink of collapse. Governments are put in place to ensure that people have life, liberty, and pursue happiness. Over 82 Kenyans have disappeared over the past couple of months since the month of June. The government is risking the lives of Kenyans by pretending that they do not know who's causing abductions. Let's go with the first argument that the government is real, that they do not know who's doing the abductions. That simply means they failed their cardinal role. That simply means they're no longer able to govern. That simply means they've lost legitimacy. So if that be the case, then we're having an illegitimate government, a government that is not able to deliver on its promises, because governments are put in place to ensure that we have liberty. So can you imagine that people are being picked up in the streets and the government is twiddling its fingers that they do not know who is doing these abductions? I mean, it's unimaginable. Because then, assuming it's really criminal gangs who are abducting people, then the center cannot hold. The second thing, I think the constitutional structures, we've completely lost the legislature. There's no longer a House of Parliament. In fact, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, one of the things I'd like you to speak to is the Wiper Party has been said to be in between the Kenyan people and the IEBC. Half these members of Parliament should now be recalled if we had an IEBC in place. And it is a House of Parliament that is no longer functional. It's dysfunctional in itself. And the soonest we're able to rid of it, the better for us. The judiciary is a pale shadow of itself. The judiciary itself is confirming that it is unable to check on corruption. The Chief Justice herself is admitting that there are problems within its ranks. Coupled with what we've seen over the past couple of weeks, Article 25 of the Constitution of Kenya protects certain rights, slavery, abductions, the right to habeas corpus. So for a government to go against non-deligible rights as in the Constitution, it simply means that they want us to function within the whims of no constitution in place. If you're going to run the country without a constitution in place, then that means everyone for themselves, God for us all. And you see a government running to start reviving vigilantes. This only happens in failed states. That, in a failed state, the government is no longer able to run, take care of the people's affairs. Now you resort to vigilantes to terrorize the people. That anyone else, it's anarchy. But anyway, I do not want to speak much because Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is here, and I'm most likely going to present your candidate. I think our very best as co-host and host is to give him the chance to listen to him. And then, like you've said, Hillary, I think the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka shall be assured that anyone who tries to ask very personal questions, I think will not be given the chance to have the microphone. We're here for an objective debate. Let's listen with him. Let's listen to his ideas and let's question and interrogate them as when appropriate. Thank you very much, Hillary, for giving me the chance, and let's have a good debate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Neto.
Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you so much, Abdi, and everybody else. Honorable Kalonzo, we really humble as a Pressure Point team to host you today and feel welcome on board. And we are very, very happy. As we start today, and I know many people you've done quite a lot. I know many people knows you, and maybe those people were born yesterday or 2 years ago. But you've been there. You're a seasoned politician in Kenya, and you are focused, and you've been doing a lot of the country. As you start opening your remarks, you can say hi to the people and welcome them, and then you can start. I know this is the question that many people are waiting, and even somebody asking on your leadership. I think if you can start on that as you come in. What do you think? What do you think are the most pressing challenges facing Kenya today, and how are you planning to address them, or what are you doing to address them as a seasoned leader, somebody who has been there, making sure that things are running well? Welcome so much, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. We are happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you very much, Ndugu Hilary Gondi and your co-hosts, Honorable Neto and Abdi. I should perhaps begin by wishing all of you a very happy new year. I believe it's not too late now in the year to wish you a prosperous 2025. A year I have personally branded as a people's year because listening to Nduguneto there, and I can't agree with him more, becoming perhaps to comment on some of these points that he raised. This is a year when the Kenyan people will have to continue with their struggle, given that very important national institutions, the three pillars of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, are literally faltering. And in the case of the in the case of Parliament, the Houses of Parliament, in our case, bicameral, the Senate and the National Assembly, they've experienced clearly a clear case of state capture. So I just want to thank you for this space, and I like your rules of engagement, that you're dealing with serious policy issues, nothing personal, and that therefore, given that assurance, I just want to tell you that 2025 is a very important year because we've started the year, for example, without a functioning independent electron boundaries commission, IEBC. We have started the year with a parliament that has been captured, with an executive that does not seem to know how to differentiate between people's rights and what they intend to do, their own programs, which have failed. Remember, they started talking about bottom up economics. And nobody seems to be hearing that anymore because Kenyans believe it's bottom to bottom, going deeper into debt, deeper into a dysfunctioning administration. And the judiciary also, an issue that is very important for us. We were thinking that this was the last beacon of hope. But as it is, it's also now under attack. And therefore, we begin 2025, Hillary, as a country, really literally clinging on. I think I heard Neto say that this is a country at a crossroads. Remember in 2023, Kenyans went to the streets, demonstrated against oppressive taxes. By that time, the rallying point was the high cost of living. And we were demonstrating against the finance bill of 2023. The result was more than 60 Kenyans, 65 young Kenyans were killed, and nobody up to date has been held accountable to have taken to account on the killings, the police brutality that we witnessed. And some young person I talked about Mulolongo. Mulolongo is actually an action point because in 2023 there was a lot of activity where people did strange things and blamed the demonstrators. So the result of the 2022 demonstrations was that both President William Ruto and friend Raila appointed a committee which I had the honor to co-chair, which was named the National Dialogue Committee. Our recommendations are actually gathering dust in Parliament. The only thing that has been acted upon out of the NADCO report is the signing into law the Amendment Act to the IEBC, itself also being made dysfunctional. And so I wish I had a better story to tell because 2024 then happened. And June 25th last year, 2024, will go down in history as the year when the young Kenyans, the Gen Zs, decided enough is enough and wanted their country back. They wanted accountability. They wanted good governance. They wanted a country governed by the rule of law in accordance with our Constitution 2010. The problem with our Constitution is not the Constitution itself, it's the Kenyan leaders who do not understand what one time my law professor, the late Okoth Gendo, famously said. The problem in Kenya is not that we do not have a constitution, it is the lack of constitutionalism. And so, if people were able at least do the bare minimum, follow what the constitution says, we will be making some progress. But right now, the country is literally at a standstill. Sorry, now what happens? Some fellow is calling. Are you still there?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mheshimiwa. Go ahead.
Thank you. We will have to bear with some of those interruptions.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Again, I mean, to conclude a bit my submission on 2024, the Gen Z revolution, and I believe that revolution is ongoing. Again, we lost in excess of 60 something, according to Kenya National Human Rights Commission. We are dealing with about 82 missing persons, 82. And in the recent past, I think the Kenyans, wherever you are, you'll have to notice that we were in court dealing with 6 cases of abductees. And I was personally in court as a senior counsel, making appearance on behalf of the abductees, who are the petitioners and the applicants in this matter. So that friend who said I've not, my voice has not been heard about BC who was abducted out of Mlolongo will probably stand guided, and let him appreciate that I am personally on my own feet in court trying to press for not only the release of Bisi, who is the one who is outstanding, along with another young man who has also not been released, that we are on it and we will make sure that on the 27th, when the matter will come up again before Justice Bahati Namue, the Inspector General of Police, the Director of Criminal Investigation, Mr. Amin, and others who have been cited must personally enter appearance, and we will be in court, God willing, to cross-examine them, because we said these abductions must end. We have it on authority of William Ruto himself in Homa Bay, we will stop the abductions, but they haven't stopped. So, all because Kenyans came mood, and they still are continuing. In fact, I get the sense that young Kenyans are very angry. They are very angry because those who, for example, chose to join the so called broad based government, I have referred to it as blood based, because it is that, Kenyans were killed in 2023, nothing happened. They were killed in 2024 through police brutality, and they have continued to be abducted. And then you join Ruto as a cabinet secretary. Obviously, you're not just joining a broad based government, but you are riding on the blood that the young Kenyans shed unfairly and reasonably in contravention of the law. I agree, of course, with Brother Neto that this is a country that is not observing anything to do with the rule of law. And these are issues that we will be dealing with. So when I say 2025, then is the year of the people. We will be there on our feet. We will challenge this administration. We will try to hold them to account, not by issuing statements. When occasion demands, I will personally be going to court. Remember last year, I also went to court to deal with the matter of a state capture by this Indian called Andani. And Ruto did not, out of love and affection, drop the Andani deal, but it's because of the pressure, including what I think the Americans on the other side tried to do. Is
Maybe.
we will be announcing upfront a commission to deal with state capture. This time, we will follow that through. We'll do all the research, and we make recommendation even to the Ruto administration. But in the event they fail to take action, the next administration will deal with this matter of state capture. Because Kenyans are already overburdened. Because Andane, for example, is going to come up with a regime of overtaxing Kenyans yet more. When at this time we all know the most overtaxed country on earth, I believe, is Kenya. Housing levy tax. I have personally said, God willing, we take over the leadership of this country. The first executive order will be to do away with the housing taxation, the housing tax levy, whatever it is. Because Kenyans today, any Kenyan who is earning a salary is feeling the pinch. Over 51% of their own earnings are going in the form of taxation. Land. Under what terms are these things negotiated? Kenyans have mortgages on their own. There's a lot of private development of housing. What is the urgency? But I want to assure you that in our view, this is a good example of state capture. The health sector is in shambles. You hear of SHA and SHIF, and nobody seems to make head or yeah, right. Today, Kenya is even arguing about the results that have been released, and they're wondering how genuine are some of these results. Um, the funding model for university education, and I can tell you that we, out of experience, it was me who I remember appointed the first chief executive of Higher Education's Loans Board, who today I think is the governor, Baringo, and things were working normally. So those days we talked about boom and other things. Now you want to deny poor Kenyan students the right to go to university and enjoy opportunities in their country so that they can, of course, enhance their own stature and be able to become citizens of the world. This is not, this opportunity is being denied the Kenyan youth. So we have chosen to call ourselves a people's loyal opposition, along with other colleagues who have decided not to join the broad-based government. We have Honorable former Minister for Defense and Constitutional Affairs, Eugene Wamalwa, the leader of DAP Kenya. We have Jeremiah Kioni, who is the Secretary General of Jubilee. We even have Kanu on board, who have said we are not joining this broad-based government. And we will be showing the way forward with regard
Mheshimiwa, you were saying very important issue there,
over.
and we lose you.
Thank you.
Can you? You're saying that you have uh,
Sorry, there's
somebody may be called. Just repeat the sentence that you have
somebody
something with.
called.
All right, no worries. We can hear you now. Mm.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes,
I
very
was
well.
just saying that soon we'll be making announcements with regard to revitalization of the energized coalition arrangement, which will be looking at ukombozi, literally kukomboa nchi yetu. We're therefore coming up with a front to deal with that matter. And of course, I did mention some of the colleagues that are already on board, and we think a lot more people will be joining. So this is the year 2025, the year, the people's year, to be able to take back their country. So I think I need to say that so I do not have to say everything at this stage. I'm ready to take action. I mean, to take any questions that your forum may be having.
Yes, yes, Mheshimiwa. I know I'm going to open to the people to ask question, but I have two vital questions. The last statement that you've just mentioned that you're now trying to figure it out how to have an umbrella to come again 2025 being the year of the people. So you want to tell us that Azimio is no more because we have seen Honorable Martha Karua already dropped out. Raila Odinga, I don't know, but so you want to tell us that Mio is no longer there, so we are looking a new chapter, or what? What do you mean when you're saying that?
Yeah, Hillary, as of now, the party leader of Azimio is Raila Odinga. He's a party leader. Uhuru Kenyatta is the chair of the council. But clearly, Kenyans have seen that Azimio is dysfunctional. But we are holding there. In fact, we have asked Philip Kisia, the former town clerk of Nairobi, to take over from Raphael Tuju in a manner that Tuju himself was able to say, yeah, I think I want somebody else to take over as the executive director of Azimio. But his responsibility is going to be to now fashion a new coalition that is going to welcome other members, so that really Kenyans will have a voice and a platform from which they'll be able to claim their country back. So that's what I'm saying, Hillary. I'm not saying as of now
Or
Azimio is dead, because we have of course under the terms of the coalition agreement itself, there's a procedure to be followed. Because if you have been following, for example, the pronouncements by Honorable Junet Mohammed, who is the Secretary General of Azimio, he is more Ruto than Ruto himself. So we do not want to pretend, and yet he says he is a leader. He is a leader of the minority in the National Assembly. So these are some of the things that we must face head on. We'll give opportunity to ODM to restate their position, say yes, we want to continue being in the new coalition, or that we want to leave and join UDA, for example. So this is what I'm talking about, Hillary.
all
As of
right,
now, of course, as
honorable.
of now, Azmir is not dead, but I think it's on. We are going to have to rewind it, and refashion it, and perhaps
Yes.
even drop the name Azimio, because Kenyans are fed up with it, and I think the young generation in particular. In fact, if you listen to our colleagues in ODM, nobody, including Agwambo himself, talks about Azimio. They talk about ODM. So that is a reality of the reality of the political situation with regard
All right.
to opposition in parliament.
Yeah, I know. I know these people have so
That
many
was your
questions that
number
you want.
one question.
Yes, and number two questions is on your personal leadership. This one is my last question. Then I will open it to forum, the coast, and the lead, and the people here to ask you questions on your personal leadership. As someone who has been there and in so many years, what has been your greatest lesson that in the public service that these people or the young people, or you can advise young people who are coming up, because we are seeing young people are coming up, they are emerging. As a person that has been there, what advice can you give these young people, or a great lesson that you've learned in these many years that you've been in leadership?
Yes, of course, we look at my own career progression in politics. I actually entered as a Gen Z because I think, and no, as a millennial at age 31. And so young Kenyans have a right to come and enter the political space, but also really recognize that it's a calling. If you enter politics as an avenue where you make a fortune, you go in and make millions, and or you use millions to bribe voters and then go on, you may find that kind of leadership does not last. So my own experience is that you cannot succeed as a leader if it's not a calling. And I've looked at it as a calling myself. This is why you will never hear a lot of Kenyans associate me, although I was vice president to Kibaki, with amassing insane wealth, or stealing from Kenyans and doing that kind of thing. When it is a calling, then the number one ambition is to help mentor younger leaders and other leaders. So I'm in that process of mentoring so many, and I'm ready to continue in that. In fact, I hold the view that the next leadership, if the young Kenyans will trust us with leadership, we will have to do it in a manner that we prepare them to take over as the next generation, because they have already demonstrated ability to do so. They have tried to claim their country back, and I've stood with them. I've actually said very clearly, when the chips are down, I would not join a government that is literally riding on the blood of the young people, or indeed over the years. We have known tribal clashes. We have known all kinds of, including leadership being taken to the International Criminal Court. And that is a very important matter, by the way, that one of the things we have done recently is to say abductions, for example, abductions and forceful abductions are a crime against humanity, and they are therefore admissible in accordance with the Rome Statute, the International Criminal Court. So we are not leaving anything to chance as we move into 2025, and I'm ready to offer my own experience and leadership in a manner that Kenyans will find very easy to relate with. Over the years, I've known political betrayal. I've seen that people coalesce around each other in order to win political power. If they don't win, then they disentangle, they disintegrate. But I think the time has come to demonstrate even integrity in leadership. And I think that's what has been my guiding principle. Coming from Sekuru, which is not very near Nairobi, I had obviously, and you must also give room for God in all these things, because it is God who fashions leadership, and He can also, bring down leadership. I've seen other people misuse the name of God to assume to leadership, and I think everybody now knows. The church itself underwent some form of capture, and I think now everybody is the wiser. So 2025 is going to be a year of the progressive forces in our country getting together kukomboa nchi yao.
Asante sana mheshimiwa, ubarikiwe sana kwa hiyo maswali. Najua swali ni mengi, lakini ningependa kupatia wengine sasa pia waulize swali na
Sawa,
wakiwa na jambo la kusema. Abdi, you have something
ndio.
to say before Milton come in and Kigen
Yes.
and Anthony? Yep.
Yes. I'll just be brief. I just want to welcome those joining us, a warm welcome to them on this vital and timely discussion on the state of our nation. I think, as you said, we are privileged to have Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka today, and along with other outstanding panelists, including our leaders, Honorable Neto, Boni, Hillary, and others. These are voices of reason and courage to continue to push for accountability and transformative leadership with these challenging times we're facing. I think all your presence here reaffirms that the strength of our nation lies in people willing to speak up, people willing to engage, people willing to demand the leadership we deserve. I think this space is not just for reflection, but also for actionable solution. Let's harden this opportunity to shape a path forward rooted in justice, unity, and hope. I welcome again everyone on board. Having said that, Honorable Kalonzo, I'll follow up one question with what Hillary was asking about the succession politics. And you had Honorable Dan Manzo, the Wiper Party, who said, we will form an alliance with Rigathi Gachagua, which will win 50 plus one round one. What's your take on this too? Thank you. Honorable Dan Manzo, the Wiper Party. Hillary, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know, mheshimiwa, we have like 5 questions so that you can answer. Is that okay? Or maybe 5, so that you at least you take them note, then you answer them one by one. Is that okay, mheshimiwa? His mic is muted. I think they're working on it. Maybe he's in a call. Kigan, do you have a question or you have something to say? Or before Milton?
Yes, for me, yes, I can see His Excellency is back
Yeah.
on, but I will say this. Your Excellency,
Hello,
now that your speaker is back on,
hello.
Your Excellency Kalonzo, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you, sir. Your Excellency.
Oh, Kigan dropped. That's okay. Mheshimiwa, I was asking that can we have a series of questions so that you can answer at
Yes. I had Abdi's questions.
yes.
Maybe we can have another 4,
Okay. Okay.
and then I can
Yeah,
respond.
that's really good. Honorable Neto.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Hillary. Sorry, I am on and off the mic. Like I told you, I'm on the road. A couple of things. I'd like to be fair that the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka was my co-principal when I was a member of parliament. So there's how much questions I can ask because he's my leader. But a couple of things I'd like to say. He did very well when he was at the KICC, when I think the Honorable Raila Odinga at that time was trying to join Ruto's government. And I think the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka stood his ground, which was, and I think he said it this evening, that when the chips are down, he will stand with the Gen Z, which I think he did, in terms of just trying to, stick with the people. And that I think that was really, really statemently. But a couple of things, Honorable Mr. President. Someone in the chat says that you do not finish what you start, and that you're also gentle for Kenyan politics. Those are the two issues. But the one that bothers me quite a bit is that you've always stood on the platform of integrity and constitutionalism and rule of law. But case in point, Machakos County is doing very badly, and Dr. Boni is here, and he'll give you some statistics around Machakos County, the corruption, the malgovernance, and everything else that goes on in there. So on the one part, as party leader of the Wiper Party, and then right before your eyes, one of your governors is manifestly engaging in malgovernance. How do you reconcile those things in terms of what you stand for, which is what this Kenya is asking for in terms of you don't finish the things that you start. You're talking about integrity, you're talking about rule of law issues, but right before your eyes, political parties in their real existence are supposed to be those structures of governance that, it's a sort of governance we'll see. What Wiper Party is demonstrating right now is what we'll see when they get into political power. So how do you reconcile those two? That's what I want to ask for now. Thanks, Hilary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Neto. And just a follow up, I'll bring
So
one
third
question
one.
from the chat too. And the question from the chat is from Ndolo. And Ndolo is
What's
asking,
the third one?
can the former VP be clear on the air to claim that he's holding the country at ransom on IEBC issues and commissioners? I think this is a question that has been coming up in the chat. A lot of people have been asking the same question. And many believe that the current IEBC be clear on the air to claim that he's holding the country at ransom on IEBC issues. Yeah, so I think this is a question that has been coming up in the chat. A lot of people have been asking the same question, and many believe that the current IEBC be clear on the air to claim that he's holding the country at ransom on IEBC. Yeah, I think there is an echo at the background, but the question was, many believe the current IBC crisis is partly due to the actions and those of the Wiper Party during the past electoral negotiation. How do you respond to this? The role of commissioners' appointment, do you believe the process of selecting IBC commissioners by your party contributed to the current instability? I think this is a question that is so many in the chat, so I think we can also put it to a rest. Thank you and let your comments come. Thank you again for all those who could not get the mic.
Oh, thank you so much, Abdi. Mheshimiwa, those are three. Anthony, I want to give you, then I give
This is a question that many in the chat, so
Anthony. Go ahead.
and let your comments come. Thank you again for
Thank
all
you.
those who could.
Thank you very much, Hilary.
Mheshimiwa, those are
For
three. Anthony,
boarding
I
up
want to give you,
tonight.
then I give.
I think there's an echo.
Yeah.
Neto, can you mute your mic,
No,
please?
it's not NATO. I think Honorable Mheshimiwa and your Anthony, endelea. If you have a question,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you very much for the space. I hope I'm audible.
you are.
Thank you. One of the things I've really fought for from when we began this in June 25th was the direct involvement of young people into the leadership structure. And I'll give you a case in point. I
Anthony,
and Tony Gashoka,
as you come in, you want to give us a history? That's okay. Do you have a question or you have something to tell us?
I was only now preparing the ground for the question that now I asked the question. One of the things I did to just to try and highlight that young people do have something to offer, we came up with the Adani case. I, Tony Gashoka, Mount Kenya jurist, and everyone else was in that team. And we have a great team from the diaspora too. And I watched in front of my eyes as, and I give them credit as they took the case and went with it, and we did a very good job at it in the court. But what I want to understand, and the Honorable Kalonzo has put it very well, that he wants to nurture. Hear the conversation. That he wants to nurture. So when we talk about nurture, at what point do we begin to nurture? Because when we are
But what I want to understand, and the Honorable Kalonzo has put it very well, that he wants to
always kind of thrown behind, and you guys tend to take the light. We are not asking to come into leadership directly, but we want to be involved. Like now, when you're talking about coalitions that are happening, young people in this country have been the driving force, literally bashing this government and calling it out. But when coalitions are being formed, those young people are not in the table. Their needs, wants, and aspirations are not being voiced by them. There seems to be an assumption that people know what the young people want. And when I talk about young people, I talk about millennials and Gen Zs. At what point do we start seeing these young people actively on that negotiating table saying, this is what we are talking about in terms of employment, in terms of internships, in terms of being involved in the budget making process, the civic education. At what point do we get a seat at the table? Because we don't own political parties. So we can only leverage with people who own political parties like the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. So at what point do we get to feel we are involved directly, not just being almost used? Like we get something we are riding on, we allow you to come in, then it's taken over and we are forgotten until we bring something else up. Because I feel young people have something they are saying, but other people are interpreting what they think young people are asking, instead of having those young people directly say what they want when it's time for negotiating. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Anthony. Mheshimiwa, you can respond to those ones as we wait other speakers to come in.
having those young people directly say what they want when it's time for negotiating. Thank you. So thank you so much, Anthony. Mheshimiwa, you can respond to those ones as we wait other speakers to come in.
Well, thank you so much, Hillary. I'll begin by the question. There's some background noise.
Mheshimiwa, you are a little bit far. Mm,
There's a
Come close
mix-up.
to the mic, please.
It's a mix-up.
okay.
Mheshimiwa, you are a little bit. Yeah, there's a bit of a mix-up. Are you there?
Yes, we can hear you now. You are clear. Yeah.
Okay, to that. I want to begin by the question by, I think, Abdi, when he talked about what Dan Manzo said yesterday. I think it was a morning show between himself and his fellow senators, Sifuna, Secretary General of ODM, and Senator for Kisumu. Of course, it's clear he was just referring to a visit former Deputy President Gachagua made to his county of Makueni. Are you still there?
Yes,
Are you
Mheshimiwa.
still there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so
You are clear.
what Dan Manzo was basically saying when he talked about 50 plus 1 is really looking forward to a possibility. But I can tell you as of now, we have not opened discussions with former Deputy Gachagua. The only thing I think Wiper did during the impeachment process was they stood against the motion of impeachment, and I think that was a very principled position, and because it was a very well canvassed political position by the party at a retreat, because Kenyans were saying they wanted Kufa driver, Kufa Makanga. So it was not going to be Gachagua alone, but even Ruto. That's what Kenyans wanted at that time. So when it comes to coalition building, and I want to link this one up with what Anthony was actually talking about, and sounding a bit angry that the youth are not properly involved, even in coalition making. I want to assure him, when now it comes to this is the time to know. Really, I wish, for example, that Gen Zs had formed a political party by now. If they had, I can tell you that I will be the first one to invite them into the new coalition arrangement, so they'll have a seat, a proper seat at the table, in order to together liberate our country. Bonaneto, I thank you for the kind remarks, but you think I'm too gentle for Kenyan politics? Ukiona simba amenyeshewa unaweza kudhani ni paka. We have to take everything as it comes. When it was time to fight for this country against state capture by Adani, we were there, literally. When it came to the time to say we must stop this nonsense about abductions, yours truly, I think, has been on record and literally fighting from the front line. And I think that you say I don't finish what I start. I think it's because we twice or three times decided to support Aguambo, but now it is very clear. I think we do not need a university degree to know that there's no way Kalonzo can now be asked to support anybody else. This is the only time. As I say, we take it over, set the country straight, hand it over to the owners, the younger generation. And then you're concerned about problems of governance in Machakos County, and I think you're probably referring to a time when there was a lot of propaganda that Governor Machakos was arrested in London or something, which of course was serious disinformation. And if there are matters that have been brought to the fore, either on the floor of the Senate, because the Senate has the oversight role over counties, then of course there's no way as a party leader I can condone governance issues in one of the counties that the governor comes from Wiper. And so I want to assure you, we cannot deal with double standards when it comes to the issues of governance. Now, this matter about IBC that we are seen to be holding the country ransom. I can tell you this is a concoction by one Itumbi who works for William Ruto, and he spread the disinformation. The situation is when we, after the signing of the IEBC Amendment Act, there are various formations, and the Azimio coalition was given two positions. One position went to ODM, and then that it was agreed it was coming through Parliament, and therefore the name of Professor Adams Olo went in without any problem. When it came to Wiper's position, it was then Wiper to discuss with the other 23 members of the coalition parties. But then the state came in there, caused confusion, and brought in a candidate because I think they're afraid that out of the 9 panelists who are supposed to choose the new IBC commissioners, they may not have sufficient sway because the nominee from the Law Society of Kenya, the nominee from the churches and religious organizations, the East Park nominee, I think they looked and said, wow, we do not have one. So let us interfere with the position that the position that is supposed to go to Wiper. And that's why they went and challenged, they brought in a person without the parliament or the county assemblies. Are you still there?
Yes, Mheshimiwa. We are.
A lot of interference here.
No, it's okay.
So, in order to set the record straight, the matter of Dr. Koki Muli, and how dare anybody really look at somebody with that kind of experience in terms of managing elections and doing whatever. In fact, Dr. Koki's I think passion is ensuring that whoever becomes a commissioner, the 7 or so commissioners, must be people, men and women, who are going to deliver a credible election. But what is happening, the obsession with Kenya Kwanza, is they want to get a commission that will be user friendly. We cannot afford that kind of situation. So Dr. Koki Muli won in court against the Kenya Kwanza sponsored Augustine Muli, a leader of a party with. This is where we are. The matter is come on the 21st of this month. And whatever the outcome, if Kokimuli is a position is upheld, of course she will then go on to join the, and I hope that then William Ruto can quickly move and appoint the panelists, because one gets a feeling that because of the Gen Z revolution, Kenya Kwanza does not want to see an IBC in place, because they know that all these MPs, some of whom voted against the finance bill, voted yes for the finance bill in 2023 and 2024, run the risk of being recalled by their own constituents. So they are very keen not to have an IBC in place. So we have said as Wiper, if Koki Muli is, because it is a Kenya Kwanza sponsored Augustin Muli who has appealed after losing the case before the court of first instance. If Koki Muli's win is upheld, then we hope that Ruto can move quickly after the 21st or thereabouts to form an IBC. And because really, the ball is in the court of William Ruto. When Koki Muli's matter was determined in favor of Koki Muli, they prevaricated. Instead of forwarding the names from the National Assembly to President William Ruto, they denied that meant gave themselves 1 week within which to their client Augustin Muli to make an appeal. That is the truth of where we are. And I've actually said, if the courts rule against the Koki Muli, Wiper will abide by that decision. If on the other hand, that this Augustin Muli's matter is thrown out again, then Ruto should take it and move on. Are you still there?
Yes, yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
We
So
are here, Your Excellency.
I hope I've cleared this matter about taking the country on a trust fund, because we wouldn't want to do that. If anything, we are saying if by end of March, William Ruto will not have acted in a manner that now ensures the country has a new IBC, we will lead those demonstrations again, because we think that they want to stagger this matter until 2026, 2027. Then they argue, no, 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 we must postpone elections because according to the Kriegler report, the country should have at least within 2 years a working and a functioning IEBC. So we are aware of all these tricks. Some of them, of course, want even to see extension of the presidential term limit and the extension of parliamentary term limits all the way to MCS. Kenyans cannot take that because these are matters that require referendum. So we are ready. We are ready to do battle. And as I said, let us see what happens on the 21st. I think the Law Society has issued or we're about to issue a statement to say that any election related, IBC related matter should be dispensed with expeditiously in order to give the country a new IBC. So I want to assure Anthony again that personally I'm ready to work with the young generation, have them sit on the table. Although, of course, we are to look at if you are to look at the composition of Wiper as it is right now, we have a very strong young Wiper Democrats, and these are millennials. These are really Gen Zs, and they are ready. But of course, if it is that they are given a political formation of their own, I'm telling you, they should properly then be some other confusions. Like there's a fellow called Kamsil, Samuel. Who I think jumped because you see the Gen Zs were saying they are faceless, they are tribeless, they are leaderless. So I think a time will also come when we need to get the leaders to be able to work together with. So that is my response briefly. And as you said, don't start Vananeto. This time, I think everybody knows that we'll be on the ballot. And we'll be in the ballot not just to complete some assignment, but to win and to win for this country. And I believe our win will be a win for our country, for democracy, for the rule of law, for good governance, for stopping of stealing of Kenyans' resources by those in power.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for responding to those questions. For those who are joining the conversation, we are here with Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka,
What about Dominic?
and I know we know him, and is telling us what he want to do, and is conversing with us. And therefore, Mheshimiwa, chukua maji kidogo kunywe. Unapochukua maji, tupatie hao wengine, wangwana wengine pia tusikie maoni yao tunapoendelea. Na pia wale wanatusikiliza, you can write your questions down there so that we can read them. Abdi will respond, will read them, and Mheshimiwa will respond on that. I want to, Abdi, can we give to Wanjiru, then Dr. Boni, Dr. Milton, then Dr. Boni, on that order?
Yes, yes, yes. And I just want to reaffirm and say thank you to Honorable Kalonzo for his steadfast leadership and commitment ensuring the IEBC's reconstitution process adheres to the principles of inclusivity and fairness. I think his emphasis on youth involvement is also a critical step towards shaping a future that reflects the aspirations of Kenya, I think. And also one thing I want also to echo is his unwavering belief in the rule of law as foundation of resolving our national challenges. Thank you again.
The
Over to you,
question.
Hilary.
Oh, thank you so much. Wanjiru, good evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much, Sherry, Abdi, Naito, and Karanzo for actually coming for to the space. I do have a question to Honorable Karanzo. I don't, and Abdi, please forgive me if it's personal. Maybe raise your hand if it's personal. I want to ask because we have one guy in the member of parliament. His name is Farah Abdi Mohammed, and he's a member of Wiper Democratic Party. And in the past, we have heard him, saying words like, "If I was the president, I would murder the Gen Zs." And and today he actually called us Kumanina Zako, something like that in Swahili. And the question is, sorry, the question is, do you have a way of, because you're the leader of Wiper Democratic Party, no, Wiper Democratic Movement, sorry for saying party, do you have a way of actually disciplining him? I know in the recent, the leaders have been speaking of agencies or youths are undisciplined and blah, blah, blah. Do you have a way of actually, as the party leader, disciplining such a member of parliament who is actually a leader of dialogue, spewing hate towards the youths and spewing, words of "I would murder the Gen Zs, I would actually do this if I'm in a position to." So what is your move on actually helping him to actually get to senses? Because on my view, I feel like he doesn't think well, because that's not a way a reader that should be thinking. Sorry, Abdi, if that question was personal. I'm sorry, Hilary, as well, but that was the question as well. So
It's okay. Thank you so much. I think that's one question somebody also asking somewhere here. Somebody sent me a message, but thank you for asking that question. Thank you so much. Dr. Milton, go ahead.
Just to follow Wanjiru, was it Wanjiru before Milton?
Yeah.
I do agree with her and I echo her sentiment and share the emphasis that hate and violence have no place in our political
Somebody
discourse
getting
or
them?
society. Can you hear me? Just to follow Wanjiru.
We can hear you. We can hear you, Abdi. Okay. Dr. Milton, are you there? Abdi, you'll come in after Milton. Dr. Milton. Okay, Dr. Milton, I think you're still
Okay.
struggling with your mic and everything. Later, Bonnie.
Can you
Yes,
hear
very
me?
well, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, and I want to thank Honorable Kalonzo Musika for the gracing this discussion. Let me start by introducing myself because I'm
Hey,
sure he doesn't know me. So
can't
my
hear.
name is Bodi Mwangi. Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 yes. The-
Okay. Um, so my name is Bodi Mwangi. I'm a US-based Kenyan economist and certified public accountant. When I'm not working as an economist, I spend a lot of my time researching, publishing,
Okay.
documenting, and educating Kenyans
So
on
my
what
name
their
is Boni
governments are
Mwangi. I'm a
doing with
US-based
their
Kenyan
money.
economist and certified public accountant.
There's a lot of echo. I'm not sure what's going
Yeah,
on.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's Honorable Kalonzo's mic that's on. I'm trying
yeah.
to mute it. So go ahead, please. Thank you.
What do you got? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was introducing myself. So I was saying that when I'm not working as an economist, I spend a lot of my time researching and documenting and publishing and educating Kenyans on what their governments, national and county alike, are behaving and often misbehaving with their money. And in this capacity, I interact with Kenyans a great deal. One of the things that's very clear when you talk to these Kenyans, particularly young Kenyans, is that they have absolutely no trust in the old guard of Kenyan politics. I'm talking about people that have been in the limelight, in government, in one position or the other over the last 20, 30 years. If I was to list the top 100 politicians of the last 20, 30 years, I bet you 95% of them are going to be very wealthy people. Yet, when Kenyans try to understand how did these people become so wealthy, they never ran any business that anybody knows about. They never invented anything, but they've become billionaires, primarily because of their proximity to power. Rightly or wrongly, Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka is seen as part of this group. I'm not here to cast any aspersions. I'm just here to say that Kenyans will look at someone like you. You've been in parliament, you've been a vice president, you've been in high positions for 20, 30 years. When we look at what's ailing Kenya right now, chronic unemployment, um, corruption, everywhere you look around, we have a system that's not working for Kenyans. Through my analysis, as I've educated Kenyans, um, politicians are eating up virtually everything Kenya has to offer, leaving everyone else trying to survive. And so Kenyans right now are talking about how do we get out of this situation? We find our situation, a country with so much that was taken up by our government over the last 10 years, and nothing to show for it. Kenyans are asking, who can we trust to take us from this situation? And so they look at people like you, for example, and they're trying to understand whether you can trust it. Who are you? Where have you been? What have you done for Kenyans? Um, so my question to you, first of all, is why should Kenyans trust you? Why are you different than Ruto? Why are you different than Raila Odinga? And what have you done specifically to try and address these issues that did not come out of nowhere? They are not new issues. The fact that we've had significant corruption in our country has been documented. It's been an issue for a long time. The fact that we have a system where politicians, again, are eating up virtually everything that Kenya has to offer, leaving everyone else surviving, hand to mouth. What have you done to speak to some of these issues? And finally, on the questions of credibility and trust, there was a picture that was on social media not too long ago where you had a press conference with, among other people, the former governor of Kiambu, Babayao, who is a known thief. He's a guy who has court cases right now for corruption. So when people look at you, you're having a press conference with a character like that, and you're asking Kenyans to trust you to save us from our current situation. Why should Kenyans trust someone like you who cannot look at what's happening in our country and understand that you do not want to be associated with people like that? Criminals that have stolen from Kenyans, criminals that if they get an opportunity to be in government again will do nothing but steal again, like they've done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bonnie, for that. Dr. Milton, can you hear me? Dr. Milton? Okay,
Yeah,
let me go.
yes, I can hear you, and I'm
Okay,
ready to go now.
go, bro. Then Dr. Nyango, you'll follow in that order. You've been here. Right, go ahead, bro.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, my apologies that you called me a few times. I am in the middle of something, so I had to respond to that. But here I am. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be able to share this space with Honorable Kalonzo, a man that for many years I've held in high regard, and I still do. Um, Mine, I think, is going to be very quick. probably in the next 2 minutes. I don't want to speak a lot. We have been here for a long time, and we have been able to articulate our position. So, first thing is, Honorable Kalonzo, um, you said that you've been in this political space since you were 31 years old. So, really, for the life of Kenya's political age, we would say that you've been here for 42, 45 years. And I look at your CV as a politician, and I mean, the only thing you've not been is to be president. But I want to ask you, in view of the sorry state of our nation, the issues of bad governance that stem from the lowest level of governance, which is the ward level, all the way to state house, how proud are you of the record that you possess from being member of parliament to being vice president? And today, would you then say that you are the solution to the bad governance questions that Kenyans have for those who have been in the political space? I ask that, and it is a two-sided question. First of all, to speak about the achievements that you are proud of as a political leader for more than 4 decades, and two, take responsibility for where there has been a systemic failure that you could have done better as a legislator and as vice president. Because some of the questions we are talking about are questions that you could have done better to address them as a member of parliament representing the people of Mwingi and Kitui for that matter, and as vice president under His Excellency Mwai Kibaki between 2008 and 2013. And an addendum to that question would do with your 10 years between 2013 and 2022, and 2 years on as leader of Wiper Party, where you have been principal of people at governor level, at MCA level, at legislative level in the National Assembly and the Senate, who have failed to do their job, who have, and I want to be very, very categorical, I don't want to miss my words on this, who bear blood in their hands because of the heinous acts of bad governance and corruption that has led to thousands of lives being lost while they were governors, while they were MCAs, while they have been senators, while they have been members of the National Assembly. Because I do believe that the breakdown in political accountability over the 2013 period to date is genocide, is economic genocide that is unacceptable. And I carry along and associate myself with the sentiments that my colleague Boni has expressed, that you can actually speak with Babayao and he can claim to be your disciple. How do you reconcile that association? So, how do you take responsibility and how do you express pride in your political record for over 4 decades? My second question would be, Honorable Kalonzo, when we talk about bad governance under the William Ruto administration, and I've listened to you say that Azimio still remains intact, I am extremely disappointed to hear so much conflict in your statement that Honorable Raila Odinga, Honorable Junet, and others are more Ruto than Ruto himself, but you can actually say that Azimio is still intact and still represents the interests of the Kenyan people. When the Kenyans themselves have been categorical that they have nothing, they don't want anything to do with William Ruto and his regime and the scions that are being born out of his marriage and convenient relationship with Honorable Raila Odinga that has extended the lifeline of William Ruto. If Raila did not get into this marriage with William Ruto, there is genuine, legitimate expectations that William Ruto would not be president and that we will not be talking about a William Ruto presidency going into 2027. And here is my reason why I say that. There is, as a lawyer and senior counsel, you know very well, and we all know, that political offices under the current constitutional framework have no security of tenure. The people have the power to send home political office holders at a time when they feel they do not represent their interests. The question then becomes, why would we be talking about waiting for 2027 to have elections when it looks as bleak as it looks? And you co-chaired NATCO, and you rightly said that your report is gathering dust somewhere. How then do you want Kenyans to trust you and trust what you say, that you're actually the alternative? You are actually the face of the transformative leadership that the Gen Zs are clamoring for. And I hope I'm clear enough, but I would want to hear you speak and respond to the accusation that is out there of doublespeak by the political elite, of whom you are a part, and then
Milton, try
be
to
able
land,
to
please.
bring
Thank you.
Kenyans to believe that you actually represent the transformation point that the Kenyan citizens find themselves in. I hope I am clear enough. I shoot straight, and I would want to hear your thoughts on that. And please, if it is not too much to ask for, if we can continue this conversation with the honesty that the Kenyan Gen Z is demanding. On the issue of abductions, you've made yourself very clear.
Dr. Milton,
I don't need to
I think you need to land.
I don't need to
Dr. Milton, you
belabor
need to
that
land.
point. But if you could speak to my questions with clarity of thought and as honestly as you can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Milton. I think for the panel of speakers, let's be a bit brief and let's utilize 3 minutes to get on. I think I'll just capture whatever I had. It's very quick. There is Wanjiru, and this has been coming back to the chat about the sentiments made by Honorable Farah Maalim, and I agree with her. Hate and violence have deep, lasting impacts beyond political lines. It's essential for all of us, leaders and citizens, to be mindful of our words and action, and we focus on unity, not division, that prioritizes peaceful, constructive dialogue. I think Bonnie and Dr. Milton also have touched on an important issue, which is about the political baggage, past actions, trust issues that must be addressed transparently to build confidence. Having said that, over to you, Honorable Neto, and then we can go on the order. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Neto, as on the way. Before Honorable Kalonzo come in again, I want to say that, guys, there's so many requests that we have. If you have a question, you can write down there. We will try to read them so Mushimiwa can respond to them. And also those who are in mic, 3 minutes is enough, or 2.5 at most, for us to at least to make conversation more focused and on the state of the nation. Justina Wamai, I see you, and I want to welcome Dr. Duncan, then Justina Wamai. I see Nonini down there. I see Wevinya Ndeti, Mweshimiwa from Machakos County. Thank you so much for joining. And many leaders who are on the platform, thank you so much for joining. You can chime in the conversation. Cornelius Rono, I see you there. Thank you so much for joining. And everybody else, we welcome you on board. And we are here with Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Duncan, go ahead then. Justina Wamai.
Thank you very much, Hillary, and Happy New Year to you and the team. It is a pleasure to meet this team again, to be able to hear the insights, and to Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka for making time for us. Maybe for his sake, I am still Dr. Duncan Onyango. I am a scholar, but when I am not in class and doing that kind of work, I lead a political caucus called Changemakers that is affiliated with our Honorable Kio Mtata's, the National Reconstruction Alliance Party. And I'm glad to be here, especially to be able to say to Honorable Kalonzo that we are proud of him, especially this time round, for having stood firm with the people of Kenya and refused to join the blood-based government, as he puts it, so that because that would have been a great betrayal to us. And in addition to the many good things that you have done in the past, I think this time round, you have done us proud, and we don't fear to say it. We hope that you will continue to be that reasonable voice of the people that speaks and defends the common mwananchi, especially at this time when we are suffering things like abductions and all this stuff. And I talk about abductions because we have suffered directly. My caucus, up until Monday, was crying for the abduction of one of our own. That was Kibet Bull, who was abducted shortly after he left our office at Taj Towers in Upper Hill. So we thank Kalonzo for standing firm for us. The question I would like to put to him still has to do with the trust issues. And based on where we are now as a country, we are literally at the brink of collapse as a country. Corruption is eating us to the core, and no system is working for us. All systems are failing, from education to health and all these things. And at this moment in time, there is a culture that we have seemed to build. When Kibaki comes to power in 2002, there was a lot of hope that he was going to help us to be able to deal with the historical injustices that had been committed by the previous regime for 24 years. But shortly after, I think he had a silent handshake with Moi and decided that Mzee should retire in peace. And we see it coming again when Uhuru comes to power and he has a handshake with, so this culture of handshakes, how are we going to bring people to account for the atrocities and the injustices they committed while in office? If every successive president that comes to power is going to have a handshake, whether it is a public one or a soft one, with the previous regime. Right now, we are talking about abductions and we are condemning William Ruto. How can we trust you, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, that if you come to power in 2027, you are not going to perpetuate the culture of handshake that blinds us to all the atrocities and the injustices that these people have committed while they were in power, so that we can be able to bring them to book? Your colleague, your principal, Raila Odinga, stood firm with us, and for a long time, we thought that this was the only voice that speaks for the people. And it still has caught us by surprise at this point in time that Raila Odinga could ride on the blood of the young people to join the bread-based government. So how can we trust you, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, that you can be able to break this trust and then be able to turn around this country? You've indicated that you will be on the ballot. And I want to say that, yes, we need people on the ballot, but we don't just need people who are going to be the ballot until the end. We need a transformational leader who is going to pick us up from the pits where we are and be able to turn around, a leader who is going to stand and say no to corruption, a leader who is going to say no to state capture. So what can you do differently? How can we trust you as young people of this country that that you can be able to pick us up from where we are and take us to where we ought to be as a country? Or are we going to work so hard, like the people of Zimbabwe worked so hard to remove the Mzee Mugabe from power, only to be able to end up with someone that they are now regretting? So I think it behooves you as a leader to be able to stand at this point in time and outline to us, convince us, talk to these young people. I've gone around the country talking to people. One time when I was just here in Kajiado, some people told me, one Mzee approached us and told us, we don't want Kalonzo, we don't want Raila, we don't want Ruto. Why would you be categorized among these people by a random muzee somewhere? Because some people tend to believe that you have
Samaras.
been part of the system and there is no difference between you and these people. And the same way Raila has crossed over, you would easily have a handshake when we entrust you with power. So I would like
Okay.
you, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, to speak to that, to be able to inspire our confidence on how we can be able to consider you as we move towards 2027. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. for that. Mheshimiwa, I want to bring you on board again. If you can chime in on those questions as we bring a new team on board, at least there's so many requests, and I know many people have a lot of questions. But if you can come in and respond to those questions, Mheshimiwa, you are muted. Abdi, can you hear me? Neto, can you hear me?
Respond yes to those questions. You confusing. Yeah, Honorable
Okay.
Kalonzo is
Okay,
on
okay.
loudspeaker.
Mheshimiwa, go ahead.
You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. My microphone is on now. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
It was very good that time. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, Mheshimiwa.
Okay. You can hear me?
You are on. Yes,
Lovely.
you're on.
Well, I really must thank Wanjiru in the first instance, Dr. Milton, Wanaboni Mwangi, a good economist there, and Dr. Milton Nyakundi, and Dr. Duncan Onyango. Really very refreshing listening to these fellow citizens. First of all, a very quick one on Wanjiru. What Farah Maalim said today, additional to what he had said before, when he said he would kill young Kenyans for exercising their constitutional right to demonstrate, to picket in accordance with Article 37 of our Constitution. What he has gone on to say today is alarming, and I'm just wondering whether Mheshimiwa Farah is out of his mind. You can't abuse Kenyans na kushikanisha na mama. Ni mambo ya ajabu hearing something like it. So I condemn it in the strongest terms possible. And since he was saying this in the presence of President William Ruto, and Ruto did not even hold him and tell him, hey, Mheshimiwa, even if you want to support me, this is not the way to do it. So clearly, we had as a party, because unfortunately in our books, Honorable Farah Maalim appears as the deputy party leader. I can assure you, before the end of this year, we'll have had our national convention of the party, and I can assure you there's no way Mheshimiwa Farah Maalim can get a single vote from the party that I'm honored to lead as a party leader. In the meantime, we've referred the matter to the party's disciplinary committee, and I'm sure it is handling that. But after today's outrageous utterances, I would advise him to resign from the party. He doesn't have to wait to be thrown out. Now, this is a kind of fresh air we are going to have to exercise in our country. I hope this gives some comfort to our sister Anjiru. And she was complaining. She was saying this is personal, I apologize. She doesn't have to apologize because what Honorable Farah Maalim did today was shameful, to say the least. Now, Dr. Milton, um, I really enjoyed listening to you, Bwana Nyakundi. How proud am I that I have spent quite a bit of time. In fact, if there was such a thing as a political leader, a professional leader, Dr. Milton, I've seen it all. I've seen leadership from every angle. I've listened even when I was deputy speaker. People forget the one time I was for a full period of 5 years, I was deputy speaker in the National Assembly. And I listened to Kenyan leaders, from people like Martin Shukuku, the People's Watchman, and to other people. People like Adings Kodek. I didn't find Kodek in parliament. But there were people who were serious leaders. People like Matiba, for example. Matiba was a rich man, but he didn't hide it. He didn't hide it. He elaborated clearly how he made his wealth, because you not expect that also leaders are not supposed to grow their wealth portfolios. But the others like Robert Ouko, a professional minister for foreign affairs, after whom I actually learned so much. I mean, after whom I came into office. And people again who are in the area of our diplomacy, countries' diplomacy, um, giving a clear direction on what this country stands for in terms of our international relations. These days, you get our men thrown into Haiti with absolutely no consideration whatsoever. Gang, sorry about this. Are you still there?
Yes, we are here. We can hear you.
The people try to interfere with this phone.
Okay.
I have come out, for example, to say we have sent our men on military assignments, peacekeeping missions in the past to countries like Angola, to Mozambique, to other. These countries work for international peace. That has been one of my preoccupations during my professional time. I'm very proud of what I've done over the years to, for example, make sure that we end up with the world's newest state, the Republic of South Sudan. Never mind, they're also facing big challenges. But this took a serious intervention as a foreign minister. And of course, also working in the region with Somalia. I've even tried to help our people in Burundi. And more recently, in fact, in the DRC, helping President Kabila and Felix Tshisekedi to form a coalition government. The continent of Africa is really bedeviled with a lot of political challenges. But then, as a person, I think I've honestly played my role in the ministries that I was given to lead. And even as vice president, no, Kenyans may not remember, for example, that as Minister for Education, I actually outlawed corporal punishment in our schools, in keeping with what the world, of course, has come to look at children's rights and what have you. But sometimes you have this thing about collective responsibility, the doctrine of collective responsibility. And when that happens, then you end up with a breakdown in terms of political responsibility. I'm addressing you, Dr. Nyakundi, because you're saying, can I take responsibility for some of those failures? Indeed, when a country goes wrong, and we end up losing people in tribal clashes and others, you feel it, but you cannot run away because you're not running the country alone. Yeah? And that you cannot even, I think others think, the double speak by the political elite. Some of us over the years have come to be who we are. And I want you to trust me that you will never hear going forward or at all a situation where I can be compromised. I've never been compromised. And therefore, really, Duncan Onyango, Daktari, I'm happy that you're able to see, to make sure that we bring sanity in our country and to stop these very unfortunate abductions. Kibet Bull is safely now home, and even Senator Okia Omtata, who is your political colleague, we will appreciate that. I had to go down there to the police cells and to assure him that we are not going to allow him to suffer injustice. That's why we were able to get him out with a mere 1,000 shillings bond. We are determined to make the difference. Don't worry about the culture of handshake. You know, this is very troubling because I can understand you, Onyango Duncan, when you say an old Masai man told you we cannot elect Raila or Ruto or Kalonzo. Of course, obviously, I've been Raila's running mate for 10 political years, and I think that's why they associate. It's a case of guilty by association. But the time has come to stand in solidarity with the Kenyan people so that Kenyans are able to see the real Kalonzo Musyoka, not one who is seen from the lens of Raila or Ruto or Moi or other people. Therefore, I want to assure you that you can trust me. They say that the proof of the pudding is actually in the eating. Now, a few things have been asked about Babayao. I gather you, Bwana Mwangi, famous economist, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you tried to run for Governor Kiambu. Listening to Babayao, because there's a principle also in law, because we cannot really, if we are going to be to imbue in our citizens the ethos about constitutionalism, we must also accept the law of natural justice, which says that no person can be condemned unheard, and everybody is seen to be innocent until they are proven guilty. If you listen to Babayao, he'll tell you actually the reason he was impeached as Governor Kiambu was because he was supporting William Ruto, and the other guys on the other side didn't seem to like that. Now, if there are cases that are pending in court, what I can do, I can assure you, if Babayao is found guilty of corruption, believe you me, he will not find in me a very good colleague. Because then at that point they'll tell him, you know, Babayao, this is the law, this is it. You made the appeal, and therefore, you know, nobody is able to listen to you. But as of now, give him the benefit of the doubt. Let him be able to explain himself to the Kenyan people. Therefore, do not say that if he's seen in a political press conference, then Kalonzo becomes also guilty by association. I want to assure you, my friends, that the time has come to redeem our country, real time. And the real leaders must now stand up, from the Gen Zs to the millennials to even the older people like Kalonzo Musyoka, who are determined to hand over this country to the younger people as a country we can be proud of. Right now, it's a country in shambles. And we'll be calling out everybody, calling out William Ruto and his administration, calling them out. We will not, you know, one of the criticisms has been, oh, you people in opposition say so much, but you do not offer any solutions. Were we not able to offer a solution when we said no to the Andani takeover of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport? That was a very loud no, and we demonstrated it by going to court. As senior counsel, I want to tell you, I will not hesitate taking positions, even some of the briefs pro bono, like I did, of course, for Kia Mutata and friends there, pro bono, to be able to get the right and the progressive forces coming out to stand and be counted at a very critical time, at such a time as this. We would not want this country to collapse. We will do our best. But of course, I also agree, and I think Raila himself said it, if he did not come to the rescue of William Ruto, we would be having a different situation. But that is for Raila himself to deal with if you're able to catch up with him. So stop there and assure all these colleagues, and I know the others who are concerned, but to be honest with you, the utterance by Farah Maalim deserves absolute condemnation by all of us who love this country. And even if he wants to support William Ruto up to 2032, that is his business. Let him do so. But let him do so without abusing Kenyans, and abusing Kenyan mothers. Kenyan mothers deserve respect. In days like this, when we have a lot of cases of femicide, for example, we cannot really be stand in silence when we are seeing some derogation of basic people's rights, like the rights of the mothers and Kenyans in general. I hope you're still there,
We are we are
my
we
friend
are here.
Hillary.
We are here. Young Mheshimiwa, we are listening.
I'm actually getting worked up
Okay.
because
Yes.
and as I said, it's very refreshing to listen to Dr. Duncan Onyango, Dr. Nyakundi. Nyakundi started by saying he wanted only 2 minutes. I think he addressed us for about 10, but that's okay. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. But I also want to say one thing,
Yes.
that when I ran for election in 2007, I was the only presidential candidate who declared my wealth, and I'm still very open. I'm very open about these things. But I'm also a professional. I have a law firm called Musyoka Morambi and Associates, all right? And if I earn legal fees, of course, William Ruto overtaxes them. Overtaxes everything. I never understood how you can, charge value tax on VAT on professional services. But there we are. So we earn a little money, and we have to educate our children. We have to also make sure we allow families to grow. So it is not that when you become a politician, you should end up a pauper. But I think enough to keep you going, to raise up your family, and to, in a case of somebody like me, to bequeath future generations a country that is under the rule of law, of course, a country that also fears God, and a country that is going to be devoid of these chest thumpers. Chest thumpers. I've never seen this culture of people just chest thumping, and they can call anybody any name, anytime. I want to tell you, I'll be there for the Kenyan people.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
I don't know how many minutes do you have because I want to give ladies now. I see ladies coming on platform. I don't know how many minutes you want to add us uh, before we wind up.
Hillary, can I just
Some
But
ask for 1 or 2 minutes
10 minutes.
just so
okay, 15 minutes at the top of the hour. So, Bonnie, as you come in,
Oh,
I ask you a question, then Rose Reseko, then Dolphin, in that order. Bonnie, go ahead.
Bonnie, just
thank
keep
you.
it to 1 minute,
Honorable,
please. Thank you.
we'll do that. Thank you so much for
is
your
he there?
responses.
I can
Can
hear
you
you,
hear
Bonnie.
me?
Go ahead.
Awesome. So, Mr. Musyoka, the question that I was posing to you have to do with credibility and authenticity. And I asked you why you think Kenyans should trust you when you stand there in a press conference with a known thief of public resources. I have done a serious study on everything that took place when Babaya was governor of Kiambu County. Perhaps you haven't seen it, but I can tell you that um, if there is ever a poster boy for corruption and everything that's wrong with Kenyan politics, it is Babaya. The last person who deserves a second chance and the benefit of the doubt is Babaya. And I'm puzzled that you will urge Kenyans to look at an individual like that and say, cut him some slack. Wait for our court system to determine that he's a known criminal. I mean, we know that our system of justice doesn't work. An individual like that steals from the most vulnerable in our community, bribes his way through the court system, and is still a viable politician in our country. And people that are asking Kenyans to trust them do not have the ability, the foresight to be able to tell people that should not go anywhere near public resources. That's puzzling to me, and it's surprising to me. And I say that with all due respect. Um, I'm just going to give you a couple of data points to kind of drive home the reason why I believe that there's a gap between the young people in Kenya and the old guard of Kenyan politics. I'm going to give you a couple of data points, and I'll be very brief about your own county of Kitui. And I see Governor Wavinya Ndeti is here, so I'll give you a couple of data points about Machakos. Again, I'll be very brief. Your county of Kitui has a population of 1.1 million. It's got a 55% poverty rate, 63% literacy rate. It's a poor county. The average citizen there makes about $10,000 shillings a month. With a 55% poverty rate, your county spends 10% of its budget on MCAs alone. Okay, 10%. The Kitui County spent 97 million on foreign travel in 2022-2023. It spent 420 million on foreign travel, a total of 517. It gave the MCAs 233 million in cars and another 14 million in allowances. So that county alone, just on a few people, the county has about 55 MCAs. You spend 764 million on them, luxury. And then look at how much money that county spent on education. 200 and actually zero shillings on education and bursaries in the whole county. So you spend 764 million on yourself, you spend nothing on the citizens. Give you a couple of data points about Machakos.
Bonnie,
36% poverty
can
rate.
we land please and give it on the chat? We only have 15 minutes
Yes.
to do, and we'll appreciate. Thank you.
Understood. Understood. So Machakos spent 747 million between cars for the governor, MCAs, and travel, and then it spent 80 million on education and bursaries for the whole county. That's the problem that we have in our country today. And all these Kenyans that are on this call understand that issue. And our politicians, in my honest opinion, do not understand that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie, for your comment. Let's go to the ladies, and then we go to Anwar and Senator Babu. Thank
Yes,
you.
go down. Roseko, how are you doing today? Welcome.
I'm okay. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm honored to join this important discussion and connect with you fellow Kenyans who are passionate about developing a better future for our beloved nation. Honorable Kalonzo, your unwavering dedication to integrity, justice, and unity has been a source of inspiration for many, including myself. Allow me to possess two questions that I believe will highlight your strength and offer clarity on your vision for Kenya. My number one question: you've been a steadfast advocate for peace and national cohesion. How do you plan to leverage your track record of promoting unity to bridge the deep division in our country and foster a truly inclusive Kenya? My number two question is: your commitment to servant leadership is well known. What unique qualities and values do you believe to set you apart as the leader who can steer Kenya towards economic recovery and restore hope for millions of struggling Kenyans? Thank you for your leadership and for engaging with us tonight. We are eager to hear your insight. Sorry, guys, I've got a bit of cold. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rose, for for that. And we are quickly covering for that cold. Dolphin, are you here? Yes, we need more ladies also to ask question. We don't say that this platform is more. We want young people, ladies to come in. Dolphin, go ahead. Dolphin. Oh, Dolphin dropped. Okay, Senator Ken Babu. Abdi, can you hear me? Honorable, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Babu, are you here? All right. I think you have connection issues. Anwar?
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Hilary, Abdi, the Honorable Kalonzo, and the rest of the members here. One of the things that is very important that I think for most of the observers have seen, though we gave ourselves a constitution in 2010, successive governments since then have proven that the president still enjoys immense power, that they have a lot of power over of our institutions that are supposed to be acting independent. We see it now with Ruto controlling parliament, controlling the judiciary, and therefore the character of killings, and we do not want to see cases of corruption. So the bottom line is that we want, those of us that really need Kenya to change, agree that the current government needs to go. There will be debates of who and what kind of people need to replace them, but I think that is a debate that I think when we agree that the current government needs to go, we will continue to have. I think my questions that I want to ask the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, the reality of the ground is that Kenyans need a coalition, government, among politicians, young people, to achieve the immediate goal of ensuring that UDA, the blood-based government, is a one-term government. As a leader, have you begun consultation among your peers and the other people, stakeholders, to ensure that Ruto becomes a one-term government? The other thing, what do you think, in your own personal characteristics, best places you into a position of a good leader? Are you a person that is open to criticism? If you are to be criticized, will you be killing our people if you are to become the president? If you are criticized, you will be abducting people if you are to become president. How do you think your Christian faith has shaped you to be a leader? Because now we see somebody that is also quoting the Bible but is killing people at the same time. So people are very skeptical about Christians. What is the differentiating factor between your Christian faith and that of Ruto, as we see today? Those are the two questions that I have. Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you, Anwar. Yeah. So I think there was somebody who was dropping Hillary. We can bring Wamai, Justin Wamai. So Justin, the mic is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, Hilary and the team.
hi.
Mine is a comment. Number one, the problem that bedevils our country is economic democracy. We see ourselves as the national cake to be eaten somewhere, to be cut somewhere. I want us to start thinking that that cake is finished. 61 years after independence, we don't have the cake. So we should be thinking about baking it or even cooking ugali. Who said we need the cake? So the conversation that I'm really hoping that this country will start looking at things is how do we emancipate ourselves economically? Number two, the challenge again we have is that we are all hoping that we are all saying must go, which is fine. But I also want to accept that we need a formidable opposition. If we really need true and, that strong, the change, the transformation we're looking out for, we need a strong opposition that will keep the government in check. Because as it is, if the one we say must go goes and then he ends up being in the position, it's going to disturb everyone. So whatever we are planning for in the future, focus on winning government and having a formidable opposition. Hillary, if you allow me, let me donate my rest of the time to Omondi Koyo. He is really insisting on speaking. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Justina.
Justin.
Where is Oyo? I don't see him. Maybe he will request a mic. Okay, Matiola, you've been here for a while. Do you have a question? Then Ronyo. Then we'll give Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. But I think Mheshimiwa, we are sorry that we're gonna take maybe more 10 minutes on top. I will not add anybody on speaker. Matiola, can you go ahead? Then Ronyo.
Well, thank you very much, fellow compatriots, for making time to gather around this very important topic. Mine is with regard to the reconstitution of the IEBC, and I want to take Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka back to 2017, where it was their political formation together with Uhuru's that gave us the commission that gave the elections in 2017, which in the first round were annulled. Of course, there went on to be a repeat election, but we know that questions have been raised with regard to the 2017 presidential elections and basically the general elections in totality. Now, in 2022, Kalonzo Musyoka was with Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, and there was this talk about them having this system. So in a way, it was considered that if the elections were going to be rigged, it would be in their favor. There have been other actors in that space, both in 2017 and in 2022, that never kind of got an opportunity to be heard or to be at the table. So even in the constitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, their views were not taken into account. Now, at this point, we have ODM in government, we have UDA, we have WIPA. It's a mongrel of a system that's running this country. And then we have this battle with regard to Koki Muli, where people believe that she's been pushed aside because she is principled and has values that are needed to ensure that the selection process of the commission is above board. Now, that may be a lone voice, but then my question is this: is it not naive of us to push for the reconstitution of an IEBC when in fact evidence points to the reality that that commission eventually will have a very strong axis that is based in Kamagut and Bondo, and us going into an election with that kind of a commission will be like Kenyans taking themselves to the slaughterhouse. Yes, people say we may not have an alternative to the process that's currently going on, but if I was to be bold and courageous enough, I would actually congratulate the Wiper Party and Koki Muli and Kalonzo for having held this process behind for a bit so that we can introspect. Because in reality, if we allow the big boys to be in charge of this process like they are, you look at the names that were given. Yes, on paper we say there is independence, but eventually when
Mudiria,
that
do you want to ask the question? Mudiria, we are running out of time. If you want to make it brief, please make it brief and ask the question. Thanks.
Well, my question to our former vice president is this: is it naive of us to expect that the IEBC that will be born out of the process currently ongoing will deliver free, fair, and credible elections? You are an insider once, and you were pushed aside, and elections were delivered in the manner that they were in 2022. So now that you're on the periphery, should we trust this process and focus on it and not agitate for a different kind of process that would give us a commission that will deliver free, fair, and credible elections in 2027?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dolphin, go ahead. Dolphin? Dolphin, you've been here for a while and I want to hear your voice. Dolphin, before Omondi, you were given, Koyo, you were given a mic. Dolphin, are you here now? All right. Omondi Koyo, go ahead. Then we'll welcome uh, Honorable Kalonzo to chime in. I think, Neto, that is the order.
Yes, I think I agree with you. Thanks.
Okay. Omondi, go ahead. You were given the mic by Honorable Justin Momai. Koyo, are you
Yes,
here?
Hillary, you can hear.
I can hear you,
You can
bro.
hear me
Yes.
very well. First of all, let me say good evening to everyone, and I would wish to pass my message of goodwill to all members under Healthy 2025, Your Excellency Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka. In Kenya today, the question in the lips of so many Kenyans and in the hearts of many Kenyans is, yes, we agree that we need to change the Kenya Kwanza regime, but they ask themselves, with who? Because the person who Kenyans have been actually seeing as a best option is Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. But when you listen to a number of Kenyans, they do tend to believe that he's not taking this matter seriously. And to me, I think that is a very big failure on his part, which he needs to change on his tactics going forward in 2025. However, I would wish to ask His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka that in Azimio, we are only 23 political parties. We organized ourselves and 16 parties voted for Dr. Augustus Muli against 7 members of Azimio who voted for Dr. Koki Muli. What is this one problem that he has with Dr. Augustus Muli that he can't allow him to serve at the panel so that we can unlock the stalemate and allow the country to move forward? Remember, the Kenya Kwanza regime is taking advantage of the confusion in Azimio to continue derailing the reconstitution of IEBC. How I beseech His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, please let us allow this process to continue, because Dr. Augustus Muli of National Liberal Party is a constituent member of Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition, which yourself you are leading. How I beseech you that please organize us as Azimio so that other Kenyans and other stakeholders can take us seriously as the best option that can remove the Kenya Kwanza regime from power. Otherwise, I thank you very much, and I hope there will be goodwill going forward into the future so that these cases in court can be withdrawn. We finish the matter and reconstitute IBC for the benefit of all of us as the citizens of Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Before we go to Honorable Kalonzo, quick, Ronyo, I give you less than a minute. Go ahead for your question.
Thank you so much, Abdi, and thank you so much, Honorable Kalonso. I just have two questions within less than 1 minute. One is the issue with the IBC, because I think it is by design that they are delaying this, because I think the Kriegler report is just a recommendation. So what can we do so that next time another one, whoever comes to power, does not use this gap in the constitution, whereby the constitution does not clearly state that within a specific time we should have an IBC. Can we can maybe Kalonzo Musyoka help us so that we can have the constitution clearly stating what at what I mean at the specific time where the IBC can be. And then another one, the last one, is we have leaders who are threatening people like Farah Maalim and all that. Can Kalonzo also help us so that not only asking them to resign and all that, but can we have them charged because they are also coming for the people, the young people who are speaking against them? Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Ronyo. I'll just go to quick online comments for Kalonzo Musyoka. Quick one. This is a question that says, in the light of the CS Murkomen comments, how do you view the government's approach to addressing dissent and criticism on social media? Do you believe using threat as a tool to stifle freedom of expression is an effective solution, or do we need to focus on the root cause of public discourse on the government failure? Thank you, and over to you, Honorable Kalonzo. I thought there was Dr. Milton who wanted to chime in for a minute, but I don't see him. But over to you, Hillary, to take it back to Honorable Kalonzo.
Oh, thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. You can chime into those questions. There are so many, and also you can give your final remarks, and I'll give also Honorable Neto to say thank you for coming and honor our request and joining the team
Oh, thank you
today.
so much, Mheshimiwa. You can chime into those questions. There are so many. Yeah. Oh, where are we? Okay, it's open. Okay. Are you there?
Yes, Mheshimiwa, we can hear you. You're well.
Well, I want to thank all the contributors and very useful comments. Generally, very concerned about our country and where we are. Boni, you gave us quite a bit of a lecture, Dr. Boni Mwangi, very competent economist, given us very good statistics about my own home county of Kitui. I cannot, of course, agree with you. I do agree with you absolutely that something needs to be done about foreign travels by MCAs and people. It may not be clear to the majority of Kenyans that before the close of every financial year, everything is done to get members of parliament out to Dubai and to other places, MCAs everywhere. Some go for benchmarking in places like Singapore and other places. Complete wastage of public resources. Therefore, I cannot agree with you more, Panaboni. And you say that Governor Vinya is actually online herself. But of course, I don't agree when you say there's zero on education and bursaries for Kitui County. I wish Governor Malombe was able to be. We'll bring this out, this fact to him. I cannot see how there can be zero allocation for education and bursaries in Kitui, and this 80 million for Machakos. I really would want to engage with you, Bwanabone Mwangi, when you are home. I don't know whether you're home, because I admire your knowledge of economics. Rose Seko, I thank you so much for the wonderful comments on what yours truly has been able to do in terms of working for peace, not just in our country, but in our region. And therefore, I want to give you my commitment that the biggest challenge we have is to work for national cohesion. You know, there's a constitutional commission which is called what is it? NCIC, Commission on National Commission on something, led by Dr. Kobia. I wish they could just swing into action and institute prosecutions. You know, the only commission I find which is working to the benefit of Kenyans is the Kenya National Human Rights Commission. Because I'm with them in court, they are there, they are trying to educate our people on their rights, their constitutional rights, a lot of them non-derogable. And so I find that some of these constitutional commissions are really sleeping on their job. Therefore, however, there's a lot that we can do. I believe seriously in servant leadership. That's why I started by saying, for me, leadership is a calling. If you try to impose yourself on people, you end up like Bwana William Ruto. Um, and so I have respect for him. He's our current president, and we are all going to have to work hard. I hope he. I saw that somebody like Sudi joined this conversation. I wish he can go and tell his boss what Kenyans are actually saying. Senator Ken Babu, I missed out on your submission. There's some interruption. But we have to work very hard on building a proper coalition, a coalition that is going to work towards a complete liberation. In fact, I'm calling it Komboa Kenya. Because this is a time really to all of us put aside whatever differences and be able to get our country back. So we'll work together. We'll work together. As I told you, we are working very hard. Even I gather they are trying to now impeach Governor Natembea because of telling William Ruto the truth at the funeral in Bungoma. And if they try to do that, we will stand as usual with Governor Natembea and tell people the truth. That absolutely nothing but the truth. Panamuthiora, I really admire your thinking about the challenge we are all facing in reconstituting the IEBC. Even before we come to interviewing commissioners, um, you begin to see it. You see through it all the manipulation, the need to capture every commission and the monies that I know they are willing to spend to buy even the 9 commissioners. Unfortunately, we did recommend an ANADCO that William Ruto and Raila Odinga will be able to consult. I think that in the light of what Raila is now doing, I think we should now change it and say we have to be there so that it's not left to William Ruto to appoint the commissioners and the chair of the commission and that kind of thing. During those discussions, Kenyans had various approaches on how to end up with a credible um, IEBC. If you look at the example of a country like Ghana, which has gone through a reasonably good election, and I saw Sudi arguing that no country in the world has there been a president who has been elected only one term. I think he doesn't know there's a country called Botswana, which had a one-term president, and we even in the U.S. itself, and what has been happening in the region uh, is amazing. It looks like the trend in Africa is for one term so that Africans can get their countries back. Therefore, we'll not allow a situation, as Muthiora is saying, where you go to Kamagut, decisions are made in Bondo and Kamagut. Of course, it will not happen. It will not happen. Kenyans have now discovered that, as somebody earlier on said, sovereignty of the people under the Constitution. And that is why they took it in their, in my view is, since the 25th of June last year, we really do not have a proper parliament in place. The one which is there was impeached by the Kenyan people. And so we will remain focused in ensuring that nobody is going to end up with a Ruto-friendly IEBC. It should be a Kenyan-friendly IEBC. And so we will work very hard in that direction. Bwana Koyo is Secretary General of Augustine Muli's party. And please, when you tell him not to associate openly with Ruto and then pretend he's actually with us in Azimio, because that is one of the problems. It doesn't even have the ability to camouflage his movements. How are we going to trust him if he's there castigating other leaders, including yours truly, and spewing all manner of vitriol? However, the matter is coming up, as I said earlier on the 21st of this month. And if the courts find in favor of Augustin Muli, I have no problem with him. He will go on to represent Ruto because he cannot represent us. It is clear he's biased in favor. In fact, the other day he called a meeting of his clan, and Kambas are not very well known to believe so much in clanism. But he declared as a clan, he declared himself and actually said they are there to work with William Ruto. So how can I trust Banakoyo, our good friend Augustus Muli, to be the voice for Azimio la Umoja One Kenya? By the way, before I forget, somebody tried to suggest that I said Azimio is actually in place. I think that friend did not hear me correctly. I said Kenyans have lost faith in Azimio because some of them, some Azimio leaders, I said it very clearly, Kenyans are actually fed up with the name Azimio. This is why we have to reconfigure the whole situation. We'll give opportunity to ODM to tell us whether they want to work with us or to work with William Ruto. It will be their constitutional right. But the rest of us are determined to work to, in a very democratic manner, remove William Ruto from office. Now, when CS Murkomen uh, attacks Kenyans on social media, threatens them, and I think even William Ruto is threatening them even today. The world has changed. The world is now full of artificial intelligence and other things. Sorry, Bwana Murkomen. This is not the country that you imagined it would be. Kenyans have come of age. And in fact, I think we need to give ourselves accolades because we do lead in this. Imagine, for example, when it came to the time to nominate the most corrupt leader in the world. A lot of Kenyans went online. Maybe this is what is making them very upset. But they should have also have asked others to nominate other people. But to earn the reputation that the country's leader is ranked now, I think is must be the reigning champion because Bashar Assad has been thrown out. All right. So to really have it's very bad for economics. For economy, it's bad for our image, and we cannot therefore continue to to languish under this kind of leadership. Social media. I see, in fact, Meta, the leadership of Meta Group, just like Elon Musk's X, have actually removed censorship. He said everybody has the freedom of expression, provided you don't take a panga and kill your fellow citizen. But Kenyans must develop the culture of taking criticism, particularly Kenyan leaders. Therefore, it will not help to abuse the young people, to threaten them, intimidate them. Intimidation, the era of intimidation in Kenya is long gone, and we will stand with our people to the very end. I thank you so much, Pana Hilary.
Uh, Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for coming and for honoring our request to join us in this conversation. And I want to assure you this is just a beginning of the conversation on the state of the nation. And I believe that when we call again, and we call even the old leaders that you're planning to lead the country with, then you'll come and again tell us what you want to do and how we want to look at differently with the leaders who are there.
We
And
will.
we really appreciate your time all the time and to honor to come today. This is a blessing to the country and to even the people who can hear you and your mission and your vision and the things that you're planning to do as a leader, as somebody who has been there for a while. I want to welcome Neto to give his final remarks. Then I know you're going to leave. We will not close the space now, but you're going to give people maybe more 20 minutes to